Okay, Carolina rig fishing is it has its own little techniques you got to use to make sure you get good hook sets and be able to cast the bait. Now you've got your weight way up here on the line right here, and then your worm or lizard or whatever you're fishing with on a Carolina rig is quite a bit a ways from that weight. So it takes a little bit of practice to make these casts. You don't just want to do like a snap cast where you just cast it. What this takes is it takes a nice lob cast is what we're gonna call it. So get your bait out here, get your reel set up so it'll make this cast, and you just want to bring it over your shoulder, loosen it up, and you just kind of want to make a nice easy lob cast. You don't want to put a lot of force into it, because if you put too much force into it, your bait twists around your line, you'll get knots in your line. The bait goes out, the weight doesn't go out as far as it can be, and it just causes a lot of grief. So nice lob cast, and after a few practice you'll be able to cast that lure really far with just a really nice lob cast. And if you need to cast it farther, go to a heavier weight too. And the rod you want to use for Carolina rigging is generally longer ones. So you're talking 7 foot. This is a 7 foot flipping stick. I like flipping sticks in a medium heavy action, because when you're bringing that bait back, you've got to move a lot of line. When you're fishing a Carolina rig, you don't want to set the hook and come straight up. What you got to do is you got to do a sweep set. So as you're dragging your bait, you're dragging it and you're dragging it, and you feel that bite. What you want to do is you want to reel down to it and point the rod right at the line of where you expect your bite is. And then you want to do a sweep set. So when you're sweeping it and you're moving it, and you swing all the way around like this, in a clock position, say you go from 3 o'clock all the way around to 9 o'clock. And you're going to just, with that longer rod and the sweep set, you're going to move a lot more line. And what that does is allow the line for you got to pick that weight up off the bottom and then bring it through to hook the fish. And so by doing a sweep set, you'll generally hook most of your fish. Another favorite and very general way to catch bass is using a crankbait. This is actually a Lucky Craft and a Rick Klung model, 1.5. It goes down about 1.5 meters, so we're talking about 4 to 5 feet. A square bill is not going to allow it to get very deep, and the square bill gives you a lot wider action, a bigger wobble on the bait than a round bill will. It helps keep it when it's going through the brush or rocks. When it hits, it deflects different. It brings the bait up and over it, so it'll go through wood, rocks, a lot of tangles. And this bait doesn't particularly run very deep. Now your bill size on your baits controls on this type of bait on how what the depth is that the bait's running. This one's only going to run about 4 to 5 feet deep. And then from an earlier tip we talked about is line size. So we're using fluorocarbon line. This is 12-pound test. And it's going to help get the bait down a little bit deeper, and then the smaller the diameter will help your bait go down deeper. So if you're fishing a lot of grass and you need your bait to ride up a little bit more in the water column, then go to a monofilament line and a bigger line diameter, or you can even stay with your fluorocarbon, just change it, say go from 12, say let's go to 20. That will actually bring that bait up a little bit more in the water column and help it ride and stay out of the grass. You're going to cast a crankbait. Want to do is just pretty much a snap cast. You want the rod to do the casting for you, let it load up. Cast it out. We've got our rod pointed at a 45. Our line's coming in. We're reeling it just fast enough to keep really feeling the vibration on the crankbait. And then a bite on a crankbait will either be very violent with a big solid whack, or sometimes it just quits. The vibration just quits on you. So you got to pay attention to what your rod